Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I feel like this is the weirdest way to be quarantined for Cinco de Mayo. But this is a bonus edition of Poetic License because I have an option to be able to do a reading right here when we had to pick up beer at the local brewery. I'm not at the brewery, I'm away from people, therefore I can have the mask off. I wanted to share with you poems that were related to May, including holidays like Cinco de Mayo, for you guys for Poetic License. This is going to blow away, I'm sure, which I don't want anyway. But let's start with some May holidays for you guys. This first one is of course, for today, for Cinco de Mayo, called Our Excuses for Celebrating. I think us Americans look for any remote holiday, so use it as a reason to celebrate by drinking. Case in point, let's talk about Cinco de Mayo. Technically, it's a celebration of Mexico winning the first battle of Puebla over the French Empire. And in Puebla, they have music, art festivals, parades, and even battle reenactments. But it's not nationwide, because that would be kind of like us celebrating the Battle of New Orleans. What, you don't know off the top of your head as an American, unless you're a history buff, anything about that battle? Well, it was the first battle the US won against Great Britain during the War of 1812. Yes, winning these battles gave us real credit as an actual country, but we don't go around celebrating one date from one battle by drinking a lot and celebrating. The closest I've ever come to celebrating anything the closest I've ever come to celebrating anything in Mexico was spending a few hours in Tijuana one balmy afternoon with newfound American drinking buddies when, after photographing a small pony painted as a zebra, we went to a few bars drinking that day, where waitstaff literally poured tequila down my throat, and the other American girl there insisted I dance the Macarena with her. Now, I don't do line dancing like that, but maybe it was the free watered-down tequila the waitstaff poured down my throat, because that made it almost be reasonable enough to celebrate. And yeah, most Americans don't know why Cinco de Mayo is even celebrated. So no, that won't make any difference to the Americans who want a reason to celebrate something they choose to not understand. But if you do want to revel in these holidays, or just a little bit, then raise a glass for the country being able to fight for their independence and win, because that is something we can all understand. I haven't even opened the beer yet, but I had a beer for Cinco de Mayo, so I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. I've got, yes, for Star Wars Day yesterday, May the 4th be with you. How many times are we going around saying things like that? I've got a few things that are around that for that holiday, so I'm going to share those with you while my husband goes walking around and celebrating Cinco de Mayo out in the streets, I guess. This one is called Full Stop. When you're driving down the expressway, you see rush hour traffic slowing the lanes down, but you look up and the car in front of you is at a full stop, and a lot closer than you realize. So you slam on the brakes as hard as you can. You feel the car shuddering and screeching till you feel your car rock back and forth from the brakes once you've come to a full stop, just in time. In our short time here on planet Earth, we all understand the concept of a full stop. In the UK, a full stop is another term for a period to bring a sentence to a full stop. But in Star Trek, Captain Kirk, Jean-Luc Picard, and even Commander Riker have all been known to tell their crew to take the Enterprise to a full stop. But I have to ask, in relation to what? In relation to the stellar objects nearby? Because from what I've heard, the universe doesn't sit still, but that everything's expanding away from everything else. Are we at a full stop right now on Earth when the planet spins and orbits the sun and our solar system is at the edge of the arm of a Milky Way galaxy spinning like mad? And think of it, our own galaxy is speeding away from everything else around there. So what is full stop, I have to ask? A full stop in reference to what? Because without a reference point, we're all just moving faster than we can imagine. We'll never stop. But I mean, it feels like we're still. So I guess it's all relative. If you're in an unmoving line at a grocery store, or you're turned off the engine of the Enterprise, you can at least say that suddenly everything feels like a full stop. It was funny because at the end of my time in Chicago, I was asked to do a bunch of poems for Chi-Con for science fiction, and I did Star Wars one, which is why you're getting these, or Star Trek ones, which is why you're getting these, even though it was May the 4th to be with you. This poem is called Kinds of Interference. I watched an episode of Star Trek recently where the Borg first transported onto the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, and Jean-Luc Picard was then abducted, transported to the cubicle Borg ship. And as soon as they realized that Captain Picard was taken, Commander Riker talked through his little comm badge to Chief O'Brien and asked, "O'Brien, can you beam him back?" And Miles O'Brien responded that he can't, that, quote, "there's some kind of interference." All O'Brien says, the man who transports people for a living, is that there's some kind of interference. I wonder if it's like the kind of interference when you tell a friend about someone that you started dating, and at your own party they leave to make out with your date. I wonder if that's the kind of interference like when the one you love calls you and tells you that they're getting on an airplane on the other side of the planet, but the connecting flight has just been canceled, so they won't be able to see you soon. And by the way, this phone call costs well over $2 a minute from the other side of the world. That's what you get for getting your hopes up. I wonder if it's the kind of interference like when a week before you're supposed to stand up at a wedding, your significant other tells you that they want to break up, but they understand that you're part of someone else's wedding. They'll tag along, you know, act like your date to not cause waves for you. I wonder if it's a kind of interference when you're driving in to see your parents, and while stopped at an intersection you see a car speeding toward you, your stopped car. So you turn your wheels of the car so the car won't kill the motorcyclist in front of you, and what they do drops you into a coma for weeks, when at the hospital they put a tube down your throat to breathe for you. You know, that kind of interference. I wonder if it's a kind of interference when you're finally off on your own and you feel like you can trust people, and someone gets you drunk enough to knife fight back and they sexually get off on you, and you later hear of rape rooms and fraternity basements that all the rooms or floors are literally covered with dingy mattresses, you know, in case the girl falls down as soon as she enters the room. You know, that kind of interference. I wonder if it's a kind of interference you get after you questioned your gender preferences, started relationships with a few, until one of them, from one of your one-night stands, gave you the human immunodeficiency virus, and you've contracted full-blown AIDS. You cocktail your way through the world with anything other than liquor, wondering how long you'd live, wondering if you'd ever have and raise kids. You know, that kind of interference. But you know, often when you hear them say on Star Trek that there's quote-unquote some kind of interference, they continue by saying, "I don't have a positive lock on the away team." And it makes you think of the time when you wanted to find the one you love, and some kind of interference keeps you away from your chance at finding your one true love. I am giving you the strangest. Now I'll give you some more holiday stuff, because we might as well start going into the future, because I believe this is a poem that was written, and this is a strange thing about this book. Every event of the year, Volume 1, January through June. Volume 2 might be out by this summer. We're not sure. We'll have to check with Scars Publications. But day by day, there are different events that go on, and the themes completely change. So it's not like, thematically reading something that you can, oh, well, this will just flow from one piece to the next. Because I believe the first week of May, maybe, is National Anxiety and Depression Awareness Week. So, brace yourselves. Now, this poem for that topic is called Overtake Me. I can tell no one understands what I go through. No one has lived the life I've led. Yes, there were good times, but the traumas, sometimes the traumas overtake me, and I can tell no one. And yes, the few times I have gone to a therapist, I have cried when I thought I was finally over the things that have tortured me. But if I'm over them, why do I struggle still? And why do I still feel so alone, and even in a crowded room? No one wants to hear about a person suffering. They think that life can't be that bad, that they're convinced that I'm choosing to ignore the good things in life. But when demons haunt you, it's hard to look chipper and think that things are okay. It's hard to smile when you walk in the sun and you think that this could be the day a car careens into you to put you into the hospital again, where you try to piece your life together. But since it's all started, my life has never been together. And this I can tell no one. Even after seeing a doctor who suggested I should take antidepressant medication, I thought of the vegetables I've seen who lived on these drugs, and I thought, no, I'd rather feel something, even if it's depression, versus the muted nothingness instead. So these are the choices I make, and these are the battles I take, and about this I can tell no one. Yes, these walls feel like they're closing it around me, but oddly enough, these walls are the closest thing to me. And since I've got no one, I'm not sure I want to let them go. I'm going to take a quick break on this, guys, and then I'll see if I can do a couple more videos for you guys. But enjoy Cinco de Mayo, whether you're in your house or enjoying outside.